May 23rd, Friday afternoon, evening. So I just drove by and saw this, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to go check it out. And you guys get to come with me. So, standy by. I'm switching to my sunglasses so I don't look as intimidating. Check this out. Hit that like. There we go. Let's go see what's going on. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was looking at signs. So I want to go see what this is. All right, we're going to turn the camera around. Let's go. Let's see here. Oh, it's indivisible.
What are you doing?
I drove by.
Yeah.
Saw it. I'm like, I'm gonna go check it out and see what's going on. Now I know.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to
I
be
feel
here.
like people can get behind American flags, and veterans. Well, I haven't been to anything in like a month, so.
I was like, oh. And I saw the veteran stuff, and then I walked up, and I'm like, all right, interesting. So I'll let you do your thing.
Are you recording?
On YouTube, yeah. So
Have fun.
I don't know if Calvin's gonna be with us much longer. He's just not doing well, so I just wanted to let you know. So, but
I'm gonna take the best picture. For you.
I'll let him explain if he wants to. So,
Dad. And then I take the picture, or would you rather I don't?
I'd rather.
Okay.
can you guys tell me a little bit about why you're out here today? No? Just an honest question. Don't want to talk about it? Huh? Okay.
Honoring our first veterans.
Yeah, I
That's all I
appreciate
would
it.
say.
All right. Does anybody want to tell me what we're doing today? Nobody wants to talk?
This is Memorial Day. This is for veterans.
Okay.
The whole thing is for veterans. We love our veterans. They're our heroes. That's exactly what we're here for. We're here for them. We're here for the beginning of a great weekend.
Awesome.
We're here for America.
Awesome. Would you guys would then be behind like legislation to not send military off to fight war anymore then, right?
This doesn't have anything to do with that.
Well, but I mean, like veteran-supported legislation that would
we
do that.
support veterans. We support that they have all of the rights that they have always had, and all the benefits that they earned it, and some of them are here
Yep, I'm a vet.
to celebrate.
I was with the 82nd Airborne Division.
Right,
So.
awesome, and some of them aren't here. So we just want to make sure that veterans don't get anything taken away from them. The government needs to make sure that they take care of them and honor them, because some of them gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Right, but would you be supportive of legislation that would help us keep veterans from going off to fight war? Would you be supportive of that? Because I'm part of a veterans organization that is actually working to advance legislation here in the state of Minnesota that would actually require that Congress declare war before it sends troops off to fight in places like Syria or Iraq, or send money to places like Israel or even Ukraine.
I believe that.
Put it that way, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because every time we send money to another country for them to fight a war, what do we end up doing?
Often sending troops
We end up
behind them.
like we already have special forces in Ukraine. We have special forces in Mexico.
Yeah.
We just deployed National Guard troops from Minnesota to Syria.
Right. Yes.
After we helped overthrow Syria.
My stepson is a 20-year retired Navy Chief Petty Officer who served in Afghanistan twice and was one of the first Navy petty officers to be given the command of an Army platoon while he was there, to the point where Armed Services TV put him on and had a story about it. So,
That's really cool. I'm sure there's probably some philosophical differences. I'm paleo-libertarian, so I'm not Republican or Democrat. I am actually paleo-libertarian.
I'm an independent,
So we probably have a lot in common, but I'm neither 100% for or 100% against everything that's going on with the current administration, but I just didn't know what was going on up here.
This is indivisible.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I know who they are.
Yeah,
Yeah. I didnn't know who it was until I got up here. So
we want everyone to be able to celebrate, and we want everyone to be able to have the same rights and freedoms.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm TC. Make it get all.
Nice to meet you.
What was I going to say? I actually co-host a show called Veteran Nation.
Right.
And we talk about a lot of these issues, and I'm very much about going out and talking to people about, as much as obviously as I love my fellow vets, we want to stop making veterans, and the best way to stop making veterans is to stop sending them off to fight stupid wars. And that's all we've done since the end of World War II, is fight one stupid war after another for no gain at all. I mean, there's like no defense of the United States or anything. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk and being civil. Sometimes you walk up and people don't always want to be civil, and
They want to know who you are. You told us
we're
who you are.
not trying to be civil, also not trying to instigate anything. And
oh, you're not. I'm a non-aggression principle adherent. So I go up and I'll do man on this.
What's the name of your show again?
The show that I co-host is called Veteran Nation Live.
Veteran Nation
Yep.
Live.
And even my good friend Skipper, who is the co-host there, he and I don't always agree on everything. He's far more Republican than I am, but we get along really well. And he's a Marine.
Right.
He's a Marine vet, so we forgive him for that.
Well, I'll look for Veteran Nation Live.
Yeah. So
All right.
I'll let you guys do your thing.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
appreciate it. You folks feel like talking a little bit about why you're out here today?
No.
No? All right. Would you ladies be willing to talk about why you're out here today?
No.
No?
I'm shy.
Well, that's a very strange name. You missed my joke. I tried so hard on that too. What?
Can I see?
Would
So you
So as you can see, it's the organization that put this on is very much a left-leaning organization, but I think we can learn to get behind stuff like this and tell people, hey, I could support your perspective. I don't know if anybody could hear anything, but yeah, this is in Rochester, Minnesota, and an overpass that's going over the Highway 52 corridor. So I'm glad I was able to do it. So a lot of people, I wish more people would be willing to engage and talk, because that's one of the strengths of being able to share opinions. So let me see if I'm going to try one more time here. I'm not stalking him. He keeps ending up in the same place. I was gonna. Would you be willing to talk a little bit about why you're out here today?
Sure.
So, I'm a vet, and I would. I appreciate the Support Our Veterans thing, and I'm also a co-host of a podcast called Veteran Nation Live. I have my own show, but I'm part of a podcast called Veteran Nation Live, and I saw the stuff, and I'm sure there's some philosophical differences to some degree or another, but I can appreciate the effort to honor our vets, especially on Memorial Day weekend. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're out here?
My name is Sarah, and I have many relatives that have been in the military. One who's deployed right now.
Yep.
Thinking of you, loving you. Take care. It's deeply meaningful to me what this country stands for. I believe that liberty and justice should be for everyone, not just the few, not just the wealthy, not just sorry.
You're fine. You don't have to apologize. Some random stranger with a shooting video comes up and says you want to talk, and then you're like, just be flawless, Sarah. Perfect. Just perfect performance right out of the gate.
I don't even know his. He did introduce himself.
Yes, he did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been watching the cleft between Americans deepen and getting worse and worse every year.
Yeah, they definitely like to keep us divided along a lot of different lines, don't they?
Yes.
I hate that left versus right paradigm that you have to be on one side or the other.
You don't.
Yeah.
No, we should be liberty and justice for all. We're a unified nation. We fought a war over that, and supposedly the Unity Party won.
Did they? That was good. Thanks. You opened a door for me that I would have, if I were doing a regular show, I would have walked right through it. So would I be able to convince you to take a look at a website that's about watching out for our veterans? I'm part of a veterans organization. It's called Bring Our Troops Home, and not in an official capacity, but I do a lot of work here in Minnesota for them. And we have an initiative right now called Defend the Guard. And what the Defend the Guard legislation is meant, and it's a single page of legislation. I know no one believes that's possible with. It is actually possible. We don't need big, beautiful bills. I said what I said. So
I'm not arguing.
So what Defend the Guard does is it's at every state level that we're working in all 50 states, but so looking at it from the Minnesota perspective, what it'll do is it'll require, Sarah, right? It'll require, Sarah, that every single time the president, any president, Democrat, Republican, whoever, independent, whatever it might be, Socialist Party of America, I don't care, whoever the president ends up being, that before they could send our troops off to any country for any reason to occupy or take part in conflict or whatever, they have to get Congress to do its constitutional job, which is to declare war, which we haven't done for over 82 years now, since the end of World War II. And that's one of the things that we focus on, is that we stop having veterans to the level that we have veterans, especially at the combat level, which is what we remember on Memorial Day, right? Or those who gave their lives, as we're told, in defense of our republic. That kind of legislation will make it more difficult for Congress, more difficult for the president to send people off to die or to kill others, supposedly in the name of freedom and liberty. And so, is there any chance I could get you to check out that legislation and see, what it's about, and tell your friends about it if you like it? We would love that, because we've been having a hard time finding people. We've been really pleased because we've got a lot of Republican sponsors on it, and now we've also picked up some Democrat sponsors, but we're just having a hard time getting a large amount of both Republicans and Democrats to support it, because they're, it's not constitutional. I'm like, it absolutely is. So,
Thanks for coming.
you said you had a family member that's deployed right now? Yeah, and they're in, where are they?
They're actually in California fighting fires.
Fighting fires. Are they Guard? Well, at least that's the Guard. They're doing something that you would hope the Guard should be home to be able to do.
Right.
What was that? What was I going to say? Oh, no, I know. Have a good weekend. I was going to ask something else, but it just completely went. Have a good weekend. Thank you for your time and for letting me talk to you. Sometimes I do this when I go by and I see things going on. I do just little spot stops and do man on the street stuff, and people are like, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, well, I appreciate that. So, but I really appreciate it. Can I shake your hand?
Absolutely.
Thank
Have
you
a
for the
beautiful
civility,
day of
and you too.
memory on
Thank
the
you. You have a great day too.
Thank you. Don't forget your chair, Sarah.
Thank you.
Sarah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, check that out. I think you really like that legislation. So.
Yeah. Sounds like definitely something I like.
Very, very thankful that Sarah was very open to talking, and I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. It's a rally and a protest. It wasn't one or another. I will say that I do know a little bit about the organization that was sponsoring it today, and it is definitely a left-leaning organization, but when somebody's right, they're right, and we should honor our vets in keeping our promises to them. But the other aspect of that is, as well, that not only should we honor our vets by keeping our promises to them, but we should also honor our vets by not creating more combat vets, more war vets, and that's a huge issue for me. It weighs heavy on my heart most days, because I can't stand the way that we just manufacture vets constantly. We're just constantly manufacturing vets, putting vets out there, putting military out there into these combat zones and conflict zones where we know that they're going to run into threats to their life. And it terrifies me just how willing people are to go ahead and do that and support that and think that it's absolutely okay or fine or that it's the way that we are supposed to operate, and we're not. And the part of me that gets frustrated when I see events like this is, as I was saying as I was walking back down the ramp, the part of me that gets frustrated is that people are willing to come out, which is good. I love to see activism. I don't care if I agree with the activism you're taking part in or not. I love activism. I believe in acting locally and making your points and in trying to draw people into those conversations. And you do that by having a protest or by having a rally. And so if you're going to be at a protest or at a rally, I would love for people to be able to explain why it is they're there, why it's important to them. And as you could, if you go back to the beginning when I first approached people, they're not able to explain, or they're not comfortable with it. And it hurts me, because I think it's a failure in our education system. It's a failure in civic engagement, and it's actually kind of, and please folks, if you're watching this, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. It's indicative of a level of cowardice in us to say that we believe in something, that we adhere to something, that we want to stand for something, but are incapable of speaking to it. And so if you're one of those people that struggles with speaking extemporaneously, or from an impromptu place, or you feel nervous, or you feel unqualified or disqualified from speaking publicly, or speaking about the things that you love, or that you support, I would encourage you to go do it anyway. I would encourage that you go and take part in a rally or in a protest that you support the cause for, and then be willing to engage with people when they ask you questions, or even if they push back a little bit on you, because this is how we change minds. And when I say change minds, I don't mean that we're gonna, in a conversation on a walking overpass over a major highway thoroughfare, that you're going to change somebody's perspective on something that they foundationally and fundamentally adhere to. But you might be able to change their minds and their ability to engage with somebody that they might actually have some disagreement with on some philosophical issues. But it can't be just the TCs of the world. It can't be just the Mike Skipper Arthurs or whoever. It's got to be all of us. And that's one thing I know about the people that watch, my content, that, are part of my channel members, that you guys all believe, like, strongly in the things that you watch me for, that you watch my content. And the reason you watch my content is that because there's one of two things going on. That maybe something resonates with you, and you're like, hey, that speaks to my philosophy, that speaks to where I was a few years ago, that speaks to where I think I'm headed. It might be that something I say upsets you. Maybe you don't, maybe you absolutely patently disagree with something that I say. And that, great. I like that. I love that for you. I really do. I love that level of freedom for you, that you can patently disagree and even say so. Or you could be like Kyle. I don't know who Kyle is, but he's like, no one watches your content. Well, I mean, that's not true. That's demonstrably untrue, Kyle. You watched even for a second. So unless you're a no one, and maybe you are a no one. Kyle, I don't know. That's not going to upset me. I hope the man can recover from his cancer. I wouldn't wish cancer on my worst enemy. Well, I might wish cancer on my worst enemy, but not normally. But I see, Kyle. Does numbers matter? So what constitutes more like someone watching? So now we know, Kyle, that you're a no one because you're only one of 9 other people, apparently. So, like, do I need one more person to have it be someone? Just out of curiosity. But yeah, anyway, I would encourage you, if you find something that you really love, that you're passionate about, and you find out that they're going to have a rally, they're going to have a protest, go out and take part. Hey, Mercedes, good to see you. Well, I'm glad that Kyle has 2 subs. I hope that works for him. It's good for Kyle. I hope he's inspired to go out and do more. Thanks, Roadhog. I am planting planting buckwheat. Your buckwheat tomorrow, Roadhog. I'm putting that in for the chickens, and I'm also going to put in some wheat, and I am going to be building for the Freedom Flock tomorrow. Or over the weekend, I'm going to be building grazing grates. So. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, go out and get involved. Get involved locally where it matters. That's the thing, and that's one of the issues that I wish people on both sides of the spectrum, and the reality is that people are protesting the wrong things, or they're rallying for the wrong things. So you get people that are, would consider themselves, Trump supporters. You know how I feel about Trump bots. I cannot stand Trump bots. And if you pay any attention to me at all, you know that I cannot abide the blind loyalty to Trump, and I cannot abide 98% of what the man has done. There's been a few things he's done that I support. Getting Ross Ulbricht out of prison was huge. Ross deserved to be out of prison. He didn't deserve to be there for as long as he did, for nothing more than building a website that allowed people to engage in commerce amongst each other. That Roadhog, you want to go ahead, and that little comment to Mercedes is all that Kyle. There we go. Yeah, that was uncalled for. But am I going to the George Floyd Memorial rally? No, not likely. I will neither pay tribute to George Floyd or to Derek Chauvin. But yeah, what I was getting to is, you've got people that are, allegedly Republicans or supposedly conservatives, that they'll go to rallies or they'll go to protests, and they'll demand that something at the federal level be changed, or they'll demand absolute subservient allegiance to Donald Trump. And you get people on the left that'll go to protests, they'll go to rallies, and all they'll do is talk a lot of smack about Trump and demand that Trump be, removed from office, or demand X, Y, or Z things from the courts about the and they're all missing the point. See, where it matters, what matters the most for all of us, what matters the most is putting the focus on where it's going to be the most effectual. We can hold protests every day of the week about what the federal state is doing, but the federal state doesn't care. They're not going to notice. They just don't pay attention to anything that happens in Rochester, Minnesota, or in Timbuktu, or in Michigan. They're not paying attention to that. So if you're going to go out and you want to have a positive impact on the political world, the political ideology that you want to advance needs to be advanced at the local level. And that means getting your state, if need be. Getting your county, getting your municipality to get involved. So I'll give an example. I went to a town hall meeting that was put on by the mayor of the town that I live in and one of the council members, and they're getting ready to do another one. And I brought up the reality that there are cities in the state of Minnesota that are sanctuary cities when it comes to illegal aliens. There are cities in the state of Minnesota that are sanctuary cities when it comes to people who want to bring their youth who might be identifying as LGBTQ, and they want to bring them into Minnesota, and they want to have, against the wishes of one parent, they want to have their child transition. And there are, so like now Minnesota is a sanctuary state for that, but there are cities that have extended even more protections. And I'm like, if a city chooses to do that, if that reflects the values of the city, then so be it. Let that reflect the values of the city. But at the same time, a city that wants to be a sanctuary city for the Second Amendment, so that they're going to direct the law enforcement of their community to not stop people for carrying a firearm, then they should let them do that. That city should be able to do that. That's where those things, matter. And in the long run, if we would take that kind of focus and we would spend our time focusing on doing activism at the local level about issues that can be impacted at the local level, and encouraging the local level to stand up to the county or to the state or to the feds, we would see a lot more positive change take place. And that's what's missing, because years ago we bought into the lie that the power should be at the federal level. And it's not. The power should not be at the federal level. The power should be at the local level. That's where the power should be. That's where the founders intended. And as we heard with a couple of the people that I did speak to at the event, they said, well, we want to go back to the way this country was. But I don't know that people actually understand that. For all of their faults, founders would not have a strong central government. We would have the strongest form of governance would be at the municipal level, at the in your city, in your township, in your local community. And that's, like I've been saying, that's where we make the change. And that's why I do what we do here. That's enough of that. When you have people like Mary Moriarty, you have to turn to the feds to get justice. I don't know. I don't know, Bob, because look at what the feds are doing now. Like, I know a lot of people think that the Trump administration is going to be the answer to a lot of this dirtiness and this crookedness, but they're not. they're just not. Like Trump just issued an executive order ending all of the consent decrees. So when you think about the consent decrees that were over the Minneapolis Police Department, I don't know, man. Bob, I tend to be very cautious about the idea of feds prosecuting anybody. Yeah, if for some reason that Kyle guy popped back up, him gone, the whole grape thing is ridiculous. So Bob, I think you bring up a valid point about Fed prosecutors. I don't believe the constitutionally allowed department. When you look at why the Department of Justice exists, sorry about that, guys. I'm in a valley. So, yeah, when you look at the ratification of the 14th Amendment and the fact that it was ratified unlawfully against the Constitution, that dissenting states were occupied by federal troops and their congressional bodies were forbidden to meet until they agreed to ratify the 14th, and once again occupied by federal troops, then we have an entire problem with everything that followed because of the 14th. And what followed because of the 14th was the inception of the Department of Justice, and with the inception of the Department of Justice came the inception of the Federal Bureau of Investigation down the road. And so all federal law enforcement really flows from very poor constitutional amendment in the 14th. And there again, I understand why they wanted the 14th. But here's a really good example of the 14th Amendment and how it's flawed. The 14th Amendment has been determined by the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court does not have the judicial authority to do. All they can do is ascertain whether or not that amendment is in keeping with the Constitution, and they can't say, oh, well, we believe. Reading the 14th Amendment, the Supreme Court had granted birthright citizenship. It was the birthright citizenship as it is adhered to today is not in the 14th Amendment. And so now Trump wants to do away with birthright citizenship, which I for one agree with. I absolutely agree that we should do away with birthright citizenship. I don't think just because you're born here, are you from here? No, you're welcome, Mercedes. But we're so far. If you go back and you start to pull the strings, pull the threads of the sweater that is a strong central government, the ability of the federal government to step in and execute its idea of justice over state government or county government or city government is just demonstrably not the intent of even the Federalists or the Anti-Federalists. And if you read the Anti-Federalists, you really need to, because they warned about everything that's going on now. And so if you want to grant power to the federal government, step in and prosecute somebody like Mary Moriarty, then you're also saying that you're going to be okay with the next administration. And we all know the next administration is very much going to be a left-leaning Democrat, socialist Democrat administration. So what if they decide they're going to a county attorney or a city prosecutor in a city that you like the way they do things? See, that's a power with allowing the feds to do that. There are mechanisms by which Mary Moore do that, and that's tough. That's absolutely tough. It's tough to get people to wake up and realize that they can do that, and I, for one, that's why I talk about local activism so much. It's very important. We would not, police chiefs pulling their firearms on people when they're not in uniform and they're not on duty over being mad about a motorcycle not pulling over when he said. Yeah, I know I was buffering, Bob. Sorry about that. When it started to buffer on my end, I stopped talking. So long story short, too long, TLDR, too long, didn't read. Breakdown is, I don't like the idea of the feds being able to prosecute at the county or at the state level, the county level, or the city level. I believe there are mechanisms in place for that stuff to be addressed in a very broad sense. And when I say, I mean broadly at the local level. Now, if she's clearly, if she's violated something that's demonstrably in the camp of federal law, federal statutes, demonstrably, as you would see it in the dictates of the first, second, or third article of the Constitution, then I would say yes. But when you look at the 9th Amendment and the 10th Amendment, those two amendments really preclude the federal government from having authority over the states in pretty much everything. The 14th Amendment has made that a mess. Absolutely made that a mess. And we need to fix that. But yeah, I don't know how I turned this into a drive time dialectic other than it was fun to stop, and I ran into somebody that I care about very deeply, and I was happy to see him taking part in something that he believes in. And I mean that. Bob, you're always welcome here. I love it when people ask questions. Roadhog can attest to that, Bob. I appreciate that. I think you've been watching for quite some time, haven't you, Bob? You've been around us. I don't know how long I have lots of things to do this weekend, and one of them is I think I'm gonna have to put my puppy down. So I'm not really looking forward to that this weekend. But he's uncomfortable and he's very sick, and I can't afford the vet bill, and I can't afford the vet to even put him down. So and I don't care if somebody sees that I'm getting emotional about it, because I love my dog. Shortly after we moved into our house, so I'm not ready for this. I'm saying goodbye to my pup. But for those who are interested, by the way, Slug Entertainment. He's in Austin, Minnesota tonight, and he is coming to Spring Valley tomorrow, and he is going to Pets Are Better Than Humans in your book. Absolutely. I agree with that, Bob. Slug is coming from Austin, Minnesota, from Slug Entertainment. He's coming from Austin. He did an interview in Austin, Minnesota at the Spam Town Museum. And he's coming over and he's going to tour our Laura Ingalls Wilder Historical Society Museum here, and he's going to interview somebody near and dear to me who is the Historical Society director. I got that set up, and then Slug and I are going to do a little collab together, so look for us to go live on my channel and his channel. And I thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm going to go now so I